Hey y'all.
Power on.
Can y'all hear me okay? Is this better?
Yes.
Are we better? Okay, cool. We are going to get started. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining today. My name is Asiana Rosales. My pronouns are he, him. I am a freshman under the Environmental and Conservation Biology major at Kent State University. I currently serve as the freshman ambassador for Spanish and Teenage Student Association, References Salsa, as well as the founder and president for the KSU Eco Justice Order. At the end of the semester, I'll be assuming the position of vice president for Salsa as well. Sorry, give me 1 second. Sorry, y'all. Minor technical difficulties, but we're back. Today, I will be hosting today's press conference. Kyle Rittenhouse, a deadly shooter during the Wisconsin Black Lives Matter protests in 2020, is scheduled to speak at a campus event on April 16th, later on today. As the anniversary of the May 4th massacre approaches, Kyle Rittenhouse has no place being welcome on our campuses. Yet yesterday, we hosted a rally for students to give testimony on how they feel about his presence on campus and to give a platform to the Black and brown voices continuing to go unheard, emphasizing the lack of safety, resources, and care allotted to them. Paul Prediger, surviving victim of the deadly massacre alongside Kent students, will be joining us today to condemn the Rittenhouse status as a guest speaker and highlight the harm that his hateful and violent white supremacy inflicts on our campuses and communities. Kyle Rittenhouse's presence as a guest speaker mocks the legacy of bloodshed of protesters on Kent State's campus and epitomizes hateful white supremacism that we as Ohio students feel is unacceptable, jeopardizing our safety. The history of May 4th, when the National Guard slaughtered 4 student protesters and injured 9 others on Kent State's campus, haunts students to this day. Rittenhouse, only famous for his murder of 2 Black Lives Matter protesters and injuring 1 other who is scheduled to speak at our press conference, is not welcome and dishonors the legacy of Kent's campus. Our speakers today are student leaders. Each of our speakers, and then we'll close with questions from the media. Please hold your questions till the end. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us here on this lovely afternoon. My name is Paul Prediger. Many of you know me as Gage Grosskreutz. On August 25th, 2020, Kyle Rittenhouse shot me in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Since November 2021, I've chosen to remain silent and not speak publicly regarding Kyle Rittenhouse and the events surrounding that night, preferring my anonymity and safety over revisiting a traumatic period in my life. But that silence ends today. While I've simply tried to live my life and not relive those moments, Kyle Rittenhouse has taken a different path. He has used every moment to gloat and to make light of taking life. As if that were not enough, Kyle has embraced and been embraced by those who peddle hateful rhetoric, who believe in nationalism that excludes those who do not look like or think like them, and who have sought to amplify a troubling desire for violence against supposed political, cultural, and religious enemies. I am not here today at Kent State to sell you a book that somebody else wrote, or a full body armor military kit that I didn't design, or a subscription to an anti-woke payment processor, or to sell you the lies of BLM. That speaker is across campus today, and his name is Kyle Rittenhouse. And for an extra $37, he'll even autograph his book for you. But what I am here to do is to stand with the students of Kent State who have had enough. Enough of Kyle and his rhetoric, enough of the celebration of loss of human life, enough of the flawed logic that because a 17-year-old who shot me and killed 2 others with an illegally obtained firearm, an illegally carried firearm, is now somehow qualified to be a champion of gun rights. Enough of the sad fragility that proclaiming and accepting Black Lives Matter, because they do, somehow devalues or threatens white lives. Enough of the lies and the deceit that has been told by Kyle Rittenhouse for over 3 years about what actually happened in Kenosha, August 25th, 2020. So I ask all of those of you who are interested to join me and these student organizers behind me and in this crowd to come to the Oscar Ritchie Hall for a hopefully enlightening teaching experience. Because students deserve an alternative to the hate and division that Kyle Rittenhouse seeks to sow on campus. And with that being said, I am very thankful for my invitation here and being able to be amongst y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Flores, and I'm the current president of the Spanish and Latino Student Association. On March 15th, Turning Point USA at Kent State announced that they would be bringing Kyle Rittenhouse to Kent State. He's most known for murdering 2 people and injuring 1 person in Kenosha, Wisconsin 4 years ago. He's coming to this university at 6 p.m. today for a talk titled The Rittenhouse Recap in the Kiva Auditorium, hosted by Turning Point USA at Kent State. His talks at other universities are marked by hate towards supporters of Black Lives Matter and those who are broadly categorized as the left. As current president, the Spanish and Latino Student Association denounces this event and the hateful nature of Turning Point USA at Kent State and nationally. Thus, the Spanish and Latino Student Association comes together today with the Ohio Student Association, Ignite, United Students Against Sweatshops, Kent State Unite for Reproductive and Gender Equity, and Students for Justice in Palestine, with support from Serve the People Akron and locals who were affected by May 4th. This is a coalition of organizations, students, and locals who are distraught by these actions. The Spanish and Latino Student Association feels the need to speak up on this because of the blatant disrespect from this university. SALSA is often considered the point organization for when Hispanic Heritage Month comes around or when someone needs us for a school project. But we have not and will never be silent when our students need us. We represent thousands of students who do not feel safe by the actions of Turning Point and Kyle Rittenhouse. I don't want to pass the baton of leadership of Latino groups as a martyr. I want to share my legacy for the living. Quiero compartir lo que hemos creado aquí. Como presidente de la Asociación de Herencia de Hispanos y Latinos, estoy representando la herencia de generaciones que hayan apoyado los derechos humanos. No vamos a dejar que él venga en paz. In this chaos, Turning Point USA was never the problem. It is a symptom. Bigotry runs rampant among those who are not wise enough to find solutions, and so it is passed on to those who have been scapegoats since the inception of this country. That is why Governor James A. Rhodes was able to send the National Guard to Kent State 54 years ago on that hill. That is why today we ask ourselves, who will defend us? As an organization, as a coalition, we stand up for ourselves. But when we are not defending ourselves anymore, after we have sacrificed the freedom to feel safe in favor of the freedom of speech, who will defend us? Higher education is failing us. While we have administrators releasing statements about their restrictions and limitations, their priorities laying to freedom of speech. To both our federal and state lawmakers, our Ohio politicians at every level, I ask you one question. Is the voice of Kyle Rittenhouse more important than the cries of danger coming from your own students? Thank you.
everyone. Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming out today. My name is Michelle Stanley, and I'm the president of Ignite and the vice president of OSA. And I'm a student that fights against racism through advocacy. Why? Because I do not feel safe. I want to feel safe, but I do not feel safe. People of color aren't safe at home, school, or the communities we live around. And sadly, Kent's campus is no different. There's always a law or bill being posed that creates a greater distance from freedom. Like SB 83, which is a dangerous bill that removes opportunities from people of color, women, and queer students. And Kent doesn't oppose this, which means they're okay with removing safe spaces. Instead of making our community safer for students, we have a touring murderer spewing offensive rhetoric, and we can't do anything about it. Because it's not a